If you ever want to know what's going on in a particular so-called church behind the scenes, pay attention to the messages in their sermons, because those sermons are always, always intentional. If someone did something wrong that church is trying to sweep under the rug, you can bet that there's going to be some sort of a sermon on submitting, on Jesus came for the sinner, something to lighten the blow, to soften the blow. And if you ever want to know what their agenda is, read between the lines in their sermon. Be suspicious of these people. But there is something that I do from time to time, like particularly when there is some sort of a counterfeit holy day that the Catholic Church or the prostitutes that bore out of her are trying to push. I'm going to listen for the overarching agenda that's coming out of their mouth, particularly Francis, since he's kind of leading the show, right? Church of England and Church of Rome. Listen to what they're saying, because there's a political message in there. Always a political message. And more importantly, there's an antichrist message. So you're going to understand what they're sort of aiming for. And the agenda that this Pope has been pushing for a while is reconciliation. He's trying to bring everybody together. He's saying that by Easter, whatever Easter is, 2025, all of these churches should be on the same page about what the date of Easter is. Well, he didn't care, and neither does Satan. You know why? Because no doubt they're going to pick a date on the Gregorian calendar, and that's not God's calendar. So none of those dates are going to be actually observing Passover anyway. Nor is Easter the same thing as Passover. Guys, there are no Christian holidays and then Jewish holy days. Christianity is the fulfillment of Judaism. Do you think that the first Christians who were Jews, do you think that they were like, oh, let's cross over to something different? No, Jews had been waiting for the Messiah. Now they're called Christians because they've accepted Christ, so that's the name on them. You get it? So what's happening in so-called Judaism right now is not Judaism, because Jews would have accepted the Messiah. But I don't want to get too far off track. What the purpose of this video is, today was Counterfeit Pentecost. So what I want to know is, what's the agenda being pushed by Francis today? Because all this time he's been talking about reconciliation. And next year, we know that the Antichrist is going to rise. So the Antichrist, being counterfeit Christianity, needs to come together, don't they? And that's been the agenda that he's been speaking. He doesn't know it. No doubt the people who are being used for this do not know. They do not have wisdom. Only the wise know. The wicked do not understand. But this is what he's been pushing for. For those of you who have not listened to, who are just learning about this, the Antichrist is counterfeit Christianity. The Antichrist was in the world from the perspective of John, because you got to have a Christ in order to have an Antichrist, and that is the spirit of Satan. That's the Antichrist. And many Antichrists, plural, have come. And the Antichrist kingdom of the end, that is most often referred to as the Antichrist, and in counterfeit Christianity is taught that it is a man. No, a man is not going to do this. This is a kingdom of counterfeit Christianity, and it started out with papal Rome. It continues in the prostitutes that bore out of her. If you are someone who's looking around going, what church is true? Congratulations, because you have eyes to see that something is massively wrong. The prostitutes that bore out of her, as is written in Revelation 17, I'm not using language that is not in the Bible. I won't be doing that. If I ever do that, I'm going to let you know this language is not in the Bible. Babylon the Great and the prostitutes that bore out of her. Babylon the Great is the mother of all prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. Babylon the Great is the fifth kingdom in Daniel 2, Daniel 7, Revelation 17, and that is papal Rome. It started with papal Rome. So they love to tout, oh, we're the OG, we're the first church. You're the first counterfeit church, dum-dum. Christ started his church here. And he didn't call anyone Catholic or Protestant or Lutheran or Calvin or anything else. The name on Christ's people is Christian, his name. And so when the word calls someone a prostitute, what it's demonstrating is that you prostitute yourself to the world. You prostitute yourself to pagan practices. And that's what the harlot's daughters do, the Protestants. They observe Easter. They make a marketplace of God, even bamboozling people into providing tithing to them, which was always part of sacrifice. I mean, do you believe in the Christ or not? They observe Saturday and Sunday Sabbaths. Those aren't God's Sabbaths. Saturday and Sunday have never been mentioned in the Word. And God does not have a relentless set of 7-day weeks. He has a 30-day month, which is not divisible evenly by 7. I talk about that in other videos. I'm not going to talk about it here. What I'm simply trying to outline for you is that this is the Antichrist kingdom. The other hallmark characteristic is that they use the image of the cross. You know, the image that the Pope bows down to and kisses, even though God said never set up an image and don't bow down to any image. All right, so they use the cross, the image of the cross, set up by Constantine the Fake of the harlot Catholic Church. If you have been wondering, why can't I find a church that resonates with me, be very, very grateful. And I hope you can hear what I'm saying about these prostitutes. So I'm just pulling up the Google AI generated overview of Francis's homily. In his homily for the Solemnity of Pentecost in 2024, Pope Francis said that the Holy Spirit is powerful and gentle. Holy Spirit's also stern, but no one wants to hear about that, so we're not going to talk about that, huh? And that Christians should proclaim the gospel with the Holy Spirit's power and gentleness. They should also proclaim it with truth and sternness. And the majority of the time, people don't accept what actual Christians have to say. So, that's kind of setting you up for failure to not understand that. And also to go out and sort of do something in a self-contrived way. How about teach people how to be led by the Holy Spirit? Oh, that's right. You got to be led by the Holy Spirit in order to be able to teach other people how to be led by the Holy Spirit. He said that the Holy Spirit's work is symbolized by fire and wind, and that it is welcoming to all. No, it's not. No, it's not. See, again, here's the agenda. Let's all live in harmony. Let's all be friends. Let's not fight anymore. Even though you got to twist his arm to go make an apology to the people who have been harmed by the Catholic Church, let's all be friends. It's like the great abuser. He also said that the Holy Spirit gives people his presence and gifts, which would otherwise be impossible for people alone. Well, no duh. He gives you gifts when you've proven worthy. That's what Paul says. When you have proven worthy of a trust, then he'll give you gifts. So, in speaking in this roundabout way, not that he would understand this whatsoever, because it's not by human appointment that the Holy Spirit selects who he's going to give gifts to or who he's going to set up in a particular position. And the Pope has been set up by human appointment. Clearly, he would be unable to help you to understand how the Holy Spirit dispensing gifts actually works. Contrary to counterfeit Christianity, you don't practice gifts of the Holy Spirit. The word says that the Holy Spirit enabled those at Pentecost to speak in different languages. They didn't practice it. How would you even practice that? They were able to do something that they weren't able to do before. How are you going to practice that? The things that people are practicing in counterfeit Christianity are self-contrived babble, self-contrived prophecy. They're delusion. But because these people in counterfeit Christianity are not operating by the Holy Spirit themselves, they make up a shtick and then teach that to people, and then dumb people go and teach that to other dumb people. The way to receive your gift is to receive the ministry of the Holy Spirit, because you don't even know what you've been set apart for. And then he's going to teach whatever it is he wants to teach to you, and then he's going to anoint you when you've proven worthy of receiving power like that. And part of what he's going to teach you is how to stay in step with him, because he doesn't just dispense power to you and then say, now run with it. Jesus didn't do that with the apostles, did he? He was with them. They received power to go and drive out spirits and things like this, and he stayed with them. And they asked him questions. Who are you going to ask questions to, guys? Pope Francis also said that Christians should pray on Pentecost for the courage and strength to share the gospel, which is ironic because Catholics don't even know the gospel. Like, they're just regurgitating what they heard from a priest because they don't even read the Bible. He said that people should not give up and that they should pursue evangelization, which is essential to their Christian life. So all of this sounds good, But none of it is really, I mean, it kind of leaves you to yourself to try to figure out how to do this. It gives you a responsibility that you don't even know how to handle, doesn't it? Pope Francis also said that the Holy Spirit acts in the world, in the church, and in people's hearts, bringing order and harmony in all spheres. That is, I mean, is he just trying to be poetic or something? What do you mean? In the world and in the church and in people's heart, bringing order and harmony in all spheres. No, he doesn't bring order and harmony in the world. What happened to what Jesus said? Are we just rewriting the Bible now? Do not think I've come to bring peace to the earth. I've not come to bring peace, but a sword. I've come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a person's enemies will be those of his own household. You know what I see these days? What I see is people saying or listening to a particular message that they like to hear. And then when someone corrects it and says, no, actually, that's not in the Bible, they say, oh, I like the other guy's message better. Like, they literally say that. I saw it twice today. I like that other guy's message better than what you're telling me is actually in the Bible. That's the one I'm going to choose. I'm going to go with that, okay? This isn't like gospel picked out of a hat. There's only one gospel. This is ridiculous. No, the Holy Spirit does not bring order and harmony in all spheres of the world, the church, and in people's hearts. No. But that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to bring everybody together in falsehood. He said that the Holy Spirit makes created realities pass from disorder to order. What? Created realities? I've heard people on psychoactive substances make more sense than this. He said that the Holy Spirit makes created realities pass from disorder to order. That doesn't make sense, okay? I'm not going to pretend that it does. From dispersion to cohesion, and from confusion to harmony. Okay, doesn't make sense, but what he is trying to do is continually reiterate this message of harmony, cohesion, reconciliation. Let's all get on the same page. Pope Francis also said that the Holy Spirit lovingly protects virtues so that they can grow stronger. I'm going to guess that that's a Catholic teaching because I don't know where the word talks about some category of virtues. He said that after the toil of combating evil, people may taste the sweetness of mercy and communion with God and with their brothers and sisters. I don't know. Someone who actually has a relationship with God doesn't talk like this. Like they don't need to speak in all this fluffiness. They just say, this is how this works. Like, this is what I experience. This is what I've seen others experience. What are we talking about? After the toil of combating evil, people may taste the sweetness of mercy and communion with God and with their brothers and sisters. What? I don't understand what you're saying. Let me break down in English what actually happens. You're in a condition that is very conflicting. You have flesh that fights against the Spirit of God, and so you need to live in your heart and your spirit where God is, because he's spirit and he communicates with your spirit, and your heart's where you're going to be justified. That's where he's cleaning you up and he's ministering to you, and that's the battle that you're fighting. Okay, so after the toil of combating evil, I mean, I wouldn't even really use that language necessarily. I would say something like, this has been a tough day in what I'm struggling with this particular thing. People may taste the sweetness and mercy of communion with God after the toil of combating evil, because my Bible says resist the devil and he'll leave, and turn to God. You turn to God. It's not after. I'm communing with God while I'm fighting that battle. This is dumb. Pentecost is often referred to as the birthday of the church. Not in the Bible, it's not. Because it is when the apostles went out among the people and began spreading Jesus' message. They were doing that while Jesus was here. What are you talking about? They didn't just start spreading the message, Jesus' message at Pentecost. They were doing that before. Like, don't you remember that Jesus said, you're going to go to these houses, and if they are worthy of your peace, then let your peace rest on them. Stay there. Eat, drink, share with them. But if they're not worthy of your peace, dust your feet. Let your peace return to you. dust your feet in protest against them. No, Pentecost is not referred to as the birthday of the church, except in the prostitutes. I saw it a whole lot today. Pentecost is when the apostles and some disciples received the power of the Holy Spirit so that they could go be witnesses. That's what Jesus said in Acts 1. When the Holy Spirit comes on you, you're going to receive power so that you can be my witnesses to the ends of the earth. That's what Pentecost is about. I saw some guy with a birthday hat on today saying happy birthday to the church. I mean, this is like just a joke. And he goes on to say, thus establishing the beginning of the church. No, that wasn't the beginning of the church. These are doctrines that are being added to the scroll, and they're being made up. And you know what my Bible says? It says that anyone who adds to the scroll is accursed, not a pope, accursed. So that's the generative AI summary of what Francis said. Absolutely nothing of value, absolutely nothing deep. I don't think that he's capable of getting deep because it's obvious that he's just putting together something poetic and not something that comes out of testimony. Which does God value? But it's also clear that what he's trying to do is get everyone on the same page. He is still preaching that message of reconciliation. Let's all be friends. Never mind, like don't remember all the things we've done to each other, by the way, because the Catholic Church has done some really, really bad things. I mean, bad things. And Protestants did some really bad things too. Protestants were responsible for the witch trials. They were burning people at the stake too. The word says that the Antichrist is going to flatter people, but that those who know their covenant, those who know their God, are going to firmly resist him. So no doubt the prostitutes that bore out of her, I mean, they've already been doing it. Christian nationalism is a campaign for the Antichrist. The Antichrist is a combination of church and state. Hello. And they testify to that image of the Antichrist that they call Israel. So they're all coming together. And they will come together for a period of time in order for that Antichrist to rise next year. And they will persecute and kill God's people. And then they will go to their end. And they will be thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where their torment will rise forever and ever and ever. So that's the message. I just wanted to see what was going on, if I could see anything else that is any other agenda that's being set in place. It's this agenda of that he's been preaching for a long time. Harmony, reconciliation, let's get on the same page, let's celebrate the same Easter, etc., etc. Let's continue to keep our eyes open and discern this message with God.